Computer. Lights. Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. I am working on a commission, so we're going to do that real quick and finish that up and clean that up and send it out the door. So that's what we're after right now. I'm going ahead and switch over to the monitor. And we are working on a commission from one of the folks at the local Star Trek chapter. And so it's one of those things. I'm just kind of doing this here. He had wanted his glasses on in the portrait. So I'm putting the glasses on here. So I also kind of feel like I could do a better job of kind of going around these corners here if I just used the line tool instead. So I'm going to use the line tool and just kind of come in here and then just kind of do that. Same thing over here. It just looks cleaner. So this is a local Star Trek chapter wants portraits done in lower decks style. I can do that. As a reminder, if anybody wants commissioned commissioned artwork, namely their characters in lower decks style, all you need to do is hit me up at the email address below, which says commissions. And we can make that work for you. The thing that bugs me is like this. We've got a little bit hanging down past past the glasses, and now that the glasses are here, it sort of highlights it. So I just want to go back over here and just kind of clean up some of this area to make sure that everything is nice and clean, so that there isn't a problem with this. Right, I'm just kind of doing this and this. The thing is that his mouth needs to now kind of go past here a little bit. If I'm going to be back in here and doing stuff, I'm going to go ahead and fix this. So there we go. There we go, just like that. Right? And now what we have is we have him standing on the transporter pad. There we go. I'm going to save it because I want to save it, first of all, as a Clip Studio file. And I saved it, and it's going to ask if I... I'm going to take a second to write it, and then we'll be done. I enjoy drawing lower decks characters. They're funny. So, he's the admiral of the local Star Trek starship that's here, the local chapter. And so he asked if I did commissions, and I said, yeah. And so he commissioned me to do him as a lower decker here character from Lower Decks. I asked if he just wanted me to match his existing portrait where he's got him standing on a transporter platform with a phaser rifle. And he said, yeah, that'd be fine. So I mimicked the pose and then stuck him on the Cerritos transporter. Taking a while to save. The only problem that I have with Clip Studio now, because we're getting kind of to the point where it's immaterial what the problems are necessarily with Clip Studio, but its clip function, save function is really, really slow. And so, I mean, that's the only problem I'm having necessarily with it. Because this is taking forever. Hello, Brent. We are waiting for a save. Good morning, Nate. Good to see you. There we go. Nate's joined me for a minute or two. So this is a commission that I just finished. So roll the commission off. So we've got one good commission going. Well, I'm glad to see you for a minute or two. I definitely should draw you like in Lower Deck style someday. Use that as your... Brent is also here from hanging out from Kansas, so you're both hanging out here. You guys hearing me? Can you not hear me? I don't know. I mean, I see green bars on my audio. The board looks solid. Turn the board on. Turn the board on. I think that'd be fun. Okay. Well, Brent, you may have your audio off. I don't know. But if Nate can hear me, then somebody can hear me. If Nate can hear me, anybody can hear me. I don't know where I was going with that one. I don't know. I'm sure it was important. I'll give you a second. All right. Hey, Nate, while I have you here, when I was doing my, when I did my comic, which I don't know if you ever saw that I finished, I got one printed, but I got one of these guys printed out. And kind of one of the things that I was noticing was kind of feel like the title is too long. Like I feel like it's too wide. So my thought was, what if I stacked them one on top of another? So like this. But now, because everything's an italicized thing, it all looks off center. Like I can't get the rising to be underneath here. Because when I do, it looks like centering it like this makes everything look like it's slanted. So, but I turned off the italicizing and it doesn't look right. So I'm kind of, what do we think? Maybe I'm just getting too caught up in it. I was actually thinking maybe adding like a graphic of some sort here that kind of goes like this so that it kind of comes down and then goes across. What do you think? You have an opinion? Do you not have an opinion? You don't have to have an opinion. It's okay. So that's something that's what this was. I was trying to look at just the blocking to see if the blocking is part of the problem. Kind of like looking at just the way it takes up the spot here. So anyway, I do have sort of this kind of thing where I was adding sort of graphics underneath it to kind of make it go. And maybe it doesn't need just these guys. I mean, what if we were to just do this? You're not deaf today. There we go. Maybe something like that. But that looks like irising. So maybe I shouldn't do that. So Brent was just talking about sort of, yeah, it is snowing up near us. It's not snowing down here though. We're where we are, I guess. Okay, well, let's bring up Rising. So Brent, I will ask you as I asked Nate. When I looked at just this in an actual like real life sort of setting, I noticed that from here, it's kind of hard to see the title of it. It's difficult, kind of. I mean, it's not impossible, just difficult. It looks kind of like a good morning, Forest. You can talk to me about this too. We're all kind of having a discussion here. Looking at my comic from just a distance here, I'm noticing that it's kind of hard to kind of see the title. It's a long title, looks kind of like a long gray bar. So what I was thinking was to stack the words like this. So it's Bellatrix Rising, like so. But the problem I'm having is it's maybe I just need to bring it up in size, but it doesn't look balanced. I'm having a hard time with balance here. Let's see if I can bring it up to the point where it's the same size. But if I bring it like so, so it's lined up properly like so, you see how it's now slanted and tilted? Yeah, actually, the red printer is set up. It's kind of hard to see, but the red printer is set up right here. So I've got the red printer. I could just print one page. Um, and I mean, part of this also is that, it's got the checkerboard behind it. When it's white like that, the freeze here is yes, that's a great idea. Hmm. Might not be a bad idea. This might not be bad. I might just leave it like this and leave it slanted and then figure out how to make it all fit. Because with the blocking here, it's not that far off to the left and stuff. So I don't know. Yeah, oh yeah, that makes total sense. I also I felt that the old logo was too busy. There was too much going on. Um, hang on real quick. Let's also finish this off because it finished saving. So let's go on ahead and save. I agree. The italicized looks better, and I'm glad that you're kind of going at this with a graphic design eye. Problem I've got, of course, is that once I've done this for so long, I've been work on the same project for long enough, it all looks wrong. I mean, right now, both words look misspelled because I'm not. This is Admiral Stimson. It's the admiral of the local starship here. He commissioned me to draw him up in lower decks. Yay for a BA in graphic design. There was something I noticed about my pages. I was adding in yesterday. What I did was I added in tap points so that whenever I go to color in the pages, all I have to do is just right mouse click here and it switches to this color exactly. And then I can go to this one, then this one, then this one, and you get the idea. And I was going to put the title up here because these are specific to because they've got the color codes now on it. They're specific to Bellatrix Rising. So I was going to put the title up here, but then it was like Bellatrix Rising, and it went all the way over to the other side of the page. And I was like, oh, that's right. I was going to look into that. So I was fixing the title on here. And I don't know. I think this isn't bad. I think we can just run with this. We'll run with this. This looks fine. We'll do this. That's what I think we'll do. Here we go. And for right now, we'll just leave it like this. I'll copy. And I'll just put that up there. And then we can brand this. And it works also with the Saturn. Okay. This is because we needed to start doing pages. I think you're absolutely right, Brent. And if I have to change this page, it won't kill me because this isn't going anywhere outside of just internal. We'll see it every day when we work on the pages for the comic, but we're not going to see it externally. You know what I mean? We're not going to see it somewhere else. So I think that's a good idea. I'll go on ahead and print it. The only reason I'm not doing it right now is Red Printer is set up to talk to the Surface, and it's not set up to talk to the main PC. So you will forever see it, Brent. It will always be there in your dreams at night. Oh, last night I had like this dream that I was part of the DS9 like company of some sort or another. I don't know, but it was the last day of filming and they were blowing up the DS9 set. And I was crawling along different parts of the DS9 set. And I had like my phone and I was filming them exploding pieces of the set and stuff like that. I don't know. It was very funny. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. And, well, I already knew that there was going to be a second version of that tech manual, that those 25 copies that I rolled off of that tech manual were it. Whether it was just one letter that got changed inside there or whatever, the next version of it was going to be different. And so that version is unique and very special. It's only going to be 25 copies of it. So, yeah, it was a cool dream. I don't know. I didn't want to wake up. It was a bummer. I woke up anyway. Weird. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm still dreaming now. If you want a copy of both of them, that's fine. That is totally okay. Okay, guys. So the other thing I noticed that was very strange about this page, and I wasn't sure what I was thinking at the time. I changed my image resolution. Okay, good. Was that these were set for manga sized at 600 dpi instead of 11 by 17 at 600 dpi. So it's like 5.5 inches by 7 inches or something really strange. And it was like this really weird size, which I never use. So I was trying to figure out what was I thinking when I did it. So I put it back up to 11 by 17, which is where it should be. Because I'll trim at this point right here, I'll trim, and then we make the internal size the right size. But that may mess up these. So we're going to do a real quick check just to make sure that we didn't just bork all of my information and important stuff. So first we're going to do that. I'm going to save as. I'm going to put it here. There we go. Oh. Just got to close this version. See what I mean? This is what I discovered. Like, that's the size of it on 11 by 17. And I was like, well, okay, wait, what am I doing? So we'll close that, and then we'll save as, and then we'll cover. And I'm not sure why it was like that, but we'll open, and we'll go in here. Reference, other manga pages. I have a lot of manga pages in here I can use. Not in here though, apparently. Who knew? Maybe in the morgue. So my morgue is ancient. There's stuff in there from the 90s. And so it really needs to be cleaned up. I've been meaning to do that for a long time. There we go. Macross. That's what we're after. Sort by size. Give it a second. We pick the largest page that we can find. Open with. Oh, it's already an open dialog box. There we go. So here we go with. This is how we check this. We go in here and we paste in Mikimoto's page, because Mikimoto is my master and will always be so. And that box ends there and ends there. Sore ja, watashi ga hajimete tane? Hajimeta. Oh, hajimete na. Ta. I've never seen te ta, te da, te da ne. She must be being cute. Must be what's going on. That's a construct I'm not familiar with. Okay, so we need to check, make sure it's in the bounds. So this is the box of bounding here. He bounds in on. There we go. And then this ends right there, And he can go off here. Konate. Ah! Is the last thing I need. I like that. That's good. Okay, so what we're going to do now is test our pins. So we'll go in here and grab the stylus. And what we're going to do is we're just going to check to make sure that the pins come in at exactly what we want them to do. Where was the one the new pin that I just found? Did we find that new pin? Did it go here? Is that what happened? Where'd that pin go? Remember we had that really cool pin that we just picked up. Where'd it go? Fine. Or did it not save it? Oh, it didn't save it. Wow. Okay. So I had a crash a couple of days ago, and it crashed out, which was really strange because this doesn't usually crash. But clearly it did. I wanted to try that pin that. Uh-huh. Right? Finding the cursor on the dual monitor, I've got 3 monitors now, right? Because like I've got a dual monitor and then I've got my drawing monitor. And it's the same thing. It's like, where the heck did that cursor go? It would be nice. Do you remember back in Windows like 2000? Windows 2000 had this like echo function where you could echo your cursor and it would like bing 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 bing, bing. You know, they killed that somewhere along the line. I feel like, oh man. Okay, so I'm gonna check because we had a material that we downloaded on this one that was. By the way, these are brushes that create people for backgrounds. I totally am going to use these and modify these guys. Because these are cool. I thought that'd be neat. This is a brush that literally just makes people. Isn't that cool? We had it. Oh, there it is. So it's under material. Okay. That's where to find it. It's under material. I have another G pen, which is a little bit more. Um, it's a G Rasupen, and I'll try that one as well. But first things we'll do is we'll add it over here to this. And then we'll add you two. This is the one that Kat was recommending the other day. So we're going to give both of those guys a run today and see whether they look good. That was nice, right? Man, that was cool. I liked that. Okay. My standing desk is a standing desk, so we're going to go in here and according to my instructions down here at the bottom of the page, I'm supposed to set a 20-point G pen. So we're going to set for 20. We're going to go back up here to the top of the page. We're going to go here where Min May is. Look at Min May, isn't she pretty? We're just going to look and see what kind of. We're going to also be in gray, apparently. Let's not be in gray. Yep, that looks about right. Okay, so just looking at where we are in line. Right. That looks about the same size. which is great. Okay, so the pen is the correct size. Right? So we look like we're doing about the same thing here. Good. And when we get like over here where it's in her curls and stuff like that, that all looks good too. Now I'm curious about this other pen though. That one still has sort of that one's smoother and doesn't look quite as much like it's an actual pen. Noticing. So maybe I like the one that Kat was recommending. Okay. So the pen works just fine. So the mistake was on the sizing that I had made of it. So we need to load an English page. We could probably close you now. We should save this as something else. We'll save it as Eclipse Studio Paint. That way I can save the old version of it and not worry too much about it, because I don't want to lose the original version and then find out that I really messed it up. So one more check here. Let's make sure that we have the right page going for us here. Let's see. I could load a Battle Angel page. Another one of my masters, so to speak. Not even a so to speak. Another one of my masters. Mikito Kishiro is another one that I really just absolutely adore. Because this is a fan translation. I don't know if I want to trust a fan translation yet. So we'll go over to reference and the manga directory. And we'll load one that's not a fan translation. We just have to find it. Yeah, so part of the problem here is I'm kind of looking for something that has a lot of text in it, but isn't a fan translation. Oh, there's a Negima page. Chock full of text. Look at that. There we go. Look at that. Wow. That's a lot of text. That must have driven them crazy. All right. I actually had an extra copy of Negima, so I went ahead and just cut it up. I'm not sure if this is the right size even. There we go. So the blue line in here tells me where the cutoff is for everything, for text. We're not supposed to go over these blue lines in text, which of course has happened on Negima quite a bit. So the question really is it inside all of this? Like so. plausibly. And it's not. It's over on this side. Wow. What a mess. I think I blame that on the editors. Because it looks like it's going to the left on the bleed. See, it fits here. But it doesn't fit over here. And that puts this in the middle almost. So part of this looks like that when they, well, so this is actually a balloon. But the balloon could be inside, like so. Ken Akimatsu plays fast and loose with his borders, and he always has. But I think that's the right size. Okay. I have a specific font that I use. I'm going to try to find what's the average size because some of this is shrunk down quite a bit and some of this is oversized. But I feel like this is the average size. Okay. We've created a text bubble. It's the same size. We're just going to check to see where does it go when it matches this, and then we'll be able to check, see if we have the right amount. Okay. So about 10, that's where it is. Let's see if that says it down here. I know this seems kind of monotonously painful, but text serious 10 point. Okay, so I had the wrong sizes set, and I'm glad we checked it now because had we not checked it earlier, we would have started making pages and they wouldn't have fit. And we would have been like, no, why don't these pages fit? So, okay, good. Then we are set. Oh, you know what we didn't check was tone, but you know what? 2 out of the 3 of these were correct. So I'm not going to worry. All right. Main page is set. All right. Now I was still working in here. We have our nicely complete Unity Corvette here. And we have a destroyer now sitting up here. The Dragon class destroyer. sitting up here. She doesn't have any windows or anything, though, so it's kind of hard to tell what size the decks are and whether we're scaled correctly. And I actually good morning, Donald. I actually kind of feel like looking at the windows back here on 44 Sierra, the windows on the Corvette, and where the windows would be, because I think this is one deck right through here. I feel like they're not the same size. You know what I mean? So what I was kind of working on before, I may have lost it. I think I may have lost it. Dang it, that would be a bummer. So we had a crash. I was saying that we had a crash a couple of days ago where all of a sudden it just crashed out. And one of the things is because it takes a while for Clip Studio to save in its native format, I've kind of gotten slightly resistant. Combination of Clip Studio not crashing and it taking a while to save has made it so that I just generally kind of go along until I'm done with a project so that I don't have to save it as a Clip Studio file. I could just save it as a JPEG. But I think we may have lost we may have lost something in that particular thing. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to check it's under interiors, is it? It should be under interiors, yes? Yeah, Doc 44S. Okay. Yeah, we lost it. Looks like we lost it. Looks like we lost it. It should be okay as long as we don't lose another one. Okay. There are a few things that I had a problem with Doc 44. Looking at it. One, looking at it from a perspective view, looking up here, there's windows up here facing down, which that's not a real problem, but there's no windows here facing inward. Yeah, you're still using a zip drive and a jazz drive? That's kind of cool, actually. I still have my my zip drive downstairs in a box. I'm not even sure if it still works anymore or not. But what I was saying was, from a left point of view here, when we look on the left side, I think these decks don't line up with the decks on the walls here. And I feel like we have these windows are the wrong size. Got rid of your jazz drive? Yeah. Also noticing you aren't. There we go. Lined up. There we go. So I want to look at this because I feel like we've got more room we can give for 44. And we need to remember that once we set what this destroyer looks like, it's done. That's cooked for the rest of this comic. So kind of want to be, since this is the next ship that Chang will be moved to, kind of want to make sure that I've got her set correctly. Because if you have her as the wrong size now, later in the comic book, if she becomes much larger or much bigger, then you'd be like, weren't those like smaller ships? You'll have that feeling something's not right. That makes sense. Yeah. My dad was big into zip drives. So I've got all these zip disks that I just got from my dad's house. He was so big on the zip drives. I thought that was the coolest thing. So let's go on ahead and first things first, let's just decide arbitrarily. We'll render this, and that way we've got it flat. This is oh yeah, well that's for the thing, right? See, we've got all these windows right here on the wall of this, but I'm looking at this and I'm looking at, here is one known deck. We already have established the decks on here. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 decks there. And I feel like these guys are much thinner than these guys, which means these guys should be larger. This entire bay should be larger. And it's what's causing us to decide how many decks are in the destroyer. So we're going to go over here. I'm going to open that one. Open a new window, put this over here. It should have loaded it up here. Or not, never mind. Just switch, whatever. There we go. The scale is off, so we're going to fix the scale. Okay, we already now see sort of where we are with this guy. We're going to fix his scale. I don't care really about width, because the width is going to be slightly off. What I'm really worried about is height. So that's correct. Okay. Now we know. Yeah, normal Navy destroyer is going to have 5 or so. A normal destroyer is only slightly larger than a Corvette, and as far as like in real world, but the destroyers in Bellatrix are going to be markedly larger. And I mean that in sort of not that slightly larger. I mean, as in relatively speaking, obviously. So our new raster layer, let's go ahead and establish in each one of these decks. Right, we now know that this is a deck right here. And then we have another deck that's right here. And then we have another one that's right up here, right? Then we have this peak up here that goes sort of a different direction. Right. But it's not quite that dramatic. It's just that Corvettes can be smaller because they're atmospheric. So they have a specific job where they go atmospheric. And since they're atmospheric, they are a smaller ship. Whereas a destroyer never goes into the atmosphere. So it never really has to worry about it. You know what? The only deck that I'm actually sure I know of is the quarterdeck. So since the Corvette is a smaller vessel entirely, she has sort of the ability to. She's much smaller than the other ships in the fleet. And she only has a crew of about 48. So we're going to go on ahead and just do this. Now I know I set these decks properly. Right, Intrepid class versus, say, a Nebula. That's closer to what we're getting to. Or Defiant versus Intrepid. mean, the Defiant has a crew of what? Only 50? Let's see here. Burger. Wow. My books are really tightly packed in here. Okay. If we grab Starflight Technical Manual on Deep Space Nine, which, I mean, just so we're all aware, I had Rick Sternbach autograph because I love Rick Sternbach. Someday I'll see if I can't get Doug Drexler to sign this too. That'd be awesome. Defiant is 121. Right? Because the Defiant, it's probably not going to tell me. I don't know. This was just a fun side thing. You right? My prized possession will always be my spaceflight chronology. Okay, potential total crew of 192. So she can hold up to 192 on the Defiant, which actually puts her at roughly the same size as an Intrepid. Also kind of weird. I didn't expect that. Yeah. I don't know if I expected that. So okay. I think that I don't have enough altitude going on here. So we're going to, or I have too much altitude. Stop doing that. Okay, we're going to go up here. We're going to say transform, free transform. Because what we really need to do is shrink. Because there's another deck up there. There we go. Still getting over the con crud. Ugh. First con of the year for me, or first con since COVID, and I get con crud. At least I didn't get COVID. And I'm counting my blessings. I didn't get COVID. I don't think I would have done so good with COVID. Okay, so here, here's our deck markers. Show us where decks are relative, and I can already see that none of that's straight. Okay. So now that we've done that, we can remove that and we can put this down here and kind of get an idea of where these decks ought to be relative to the ship that was in there. Yeah, although I'm kind of feeling like we're at oh yeah. I mean, we've got Marines on board the Kittiwake. We just have only 8 of them. You know. I feel like you guys are way too big. The Kittiwake has 48 people on board. 40 Navy and 8 Marines. And it's not like she's not packed, She's not like a super packed ship. So I feel like kind of like we're, way, 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 way over the top here. So, okay, now that we've done this and established sort of where this is, we can now scale it if we wish. Hang on a quick. Message from client. There we go. We'll add this one. And we'll say with, oh, I must have hit that, with passes. There we go. All right. Yeah, I mean, I think we're all going really large on all of these things. Because although she's a Corvette, I think we should probably also assume that, she has everybody in the future. We don't need as many crew members on board ships anymore. So, I mean, it's not like you need that guy who sits down there on deck 47 to turn the little knob thingy left and then turn the knob thingy the other direction. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of like sitting there going, well, I see where you're going on this, guys. Okay. We've established now where 5 decks is on here. We're going to go on ahead and just put in just a black line between each deck. That way I don't have to. We can make sure it's all lined up, though. Let's make sure it's lined up before we do that. Here we go. We'll put in a black line between each deck so that we now know exactly where the floor is on all of these, which is why I left a gap. I mean, not just so that I can kind of see where the decks are, but also so we can kind of get an idea of where flooring is and stuff, because we're going to need to think about that. Here we go. Yeah. Black line equals Jeffrey's tubes. Okay. We probably should also add a black line at the bottom. So we now know that there's a black line down there too. Time for us to take a quick break. There we go. This will allow us to duplicate it as many times as we want. It's the Breakfast Club. There we go. Just lining that up. And now we have an idea of where 10 decks is, which should be roughly what I would think the destroyer should be rolling in at as 10 decks-ish, give or take. At least through the back piece, that secondary piece, that secondary hull in the back. So here's the thing. At this moment, if we were to use this scale, then the internal bay would be the size it is now, right? It wouldn't change scale or anything. Hang on real quick. I snagged a nail. George. How are we doing today, George? Are we doing okay? He was like, "What? Like, what? What?" There we go. Here we go. We'll take a quantified George break with George. Right, George? He kind of likes taking a George break. He thinks George breaks are good breaks. Yeah. Yeah, you mean a George? You mean a good cat. I mean, he wasn't a good cat last night sometimes, but in the middle of the night when he runs around the house at full speed, I could do without some weird George time on that one. But it was kind of funny this morning. He was super friendly all of a sudden. He was like jumping up into the bed and, nudging everybody and stuff and being super, super friendly. And it was a lot of what he was doing was it's time to get up. So, okay. If we look here, oddly, I actually kind of feel like we might be at almost the right scale because if that's a deck, the destroyer is almost the right size, right? We kind of look at this as we know that this rim piece right here is one deck high. And that looks about one deck high. So maybe the destroyer is the correct size. Yep. They do. What is it with the afterburners? What is with the afterburner with you? Oh, he's in the shower. Apparently that's a thing. He's in the shower. Okay. Well, the only piece of the destroyer that I was absolutely sure was one deck high was this rim piece around the outside edge right through here. This piece right here I know is one deck. So when we look at it from the left view like this is what we call orthographic. It has no perspective and no distortion. So it's absolute and straight. Yep, they have to run away from their poop. It's actually it's a zoologically proven fact. I don't know how to word it, but zoologists have observed that for years was that the cats have to run away from their poop. So they'll go poop and then they have to run away from it so the predators can't find them. Okay, so what I was doing while we were kind of there is I was looking at the decks here against the destroyer on the side. And I'm actually not against it. It looks like the destroyer is scaled properly because this is one deck through here, this rim piece on the side of the primary hull right through here. I know that this is one deck. So relative to the Kittiwake here is this destroyer. She's bigger. She's not a cruiser. The cruisers are huge, 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 huge. Much bigger. They don't fit in 44 Sierra at all. In fact, destroyers are probably the biggest thing you'll get into 44 Sierra because it actually sticks its nose out of the front of the bay. So you can actually see that the bay isn't actually long enough to hold the destroyer in there. But that's all right, because the doors don't close. There are no doors on these bays, so they just hold the ship. And the ship, because it's a spaceship. What I mean, it's the ship is actually probably more likely to handle anything than any other kind of setup. So, all right. So now we can at least put windows in on here, because we're just going to leave her the way she is. Right? A380s. Wow. They're so pretty, though. They're so pretty. Airbus makes some wild aircraft. I love them. All right. Because of that, I'm actually pretty happy then with not increasing the scale of 44 Sierra's Bay. So we won't have to. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go down here, and I'm going to make sure this is down here like this and on the floor. Right, we're going to move it over to the left, like so. I'm going to real quickly then just wipe out what's here. It won't take long to do this, but it'll look better. I did this sloppily one night, and I really shouldn't have. I did it wrong, and I really should have done a better job of it. It was cute, but I didn't think it out, and it was totally designed to be get an idea of what it looked like. But now that we actually are at a point where I need to kind of decide what this bay looked like and stuff like that, I don't actually like what I ended up with. Like, these should be spotlights and things like that on this underside up here, not in fact windows. And weirdly, the force field projectors don't extend up here for reasons that I don't know. So we will real quickly start all over. We'll take you, and then we will duplicate you. And we don't need to worry about this area here. This is a landing pad set. Now, before the crash, I actually came up with a cool idea that there were garages here on this floor. 747s are special aircraft. I really like those guys. When I went to Japan, and now Pepper can drink. When I went to Japan, I went over there on a 777, and that was really cool. And I came back on a 747. That was also cool. So I got to check both of those guys off of my aircraft that I have flown on list. And then when I went to Germany, I went out to Germany on a 777 and came back on an A380. And the A380 was so cool because it had a camera mounted on the tip of its tail that looked out over the airplane and everything in front of it, so you could just watch it fly. Yep. That's what we're going to want, is some seriously larger windows up here. Okay, now that we've done this, Here are the things. First of all, this is a utility deck here. So there will be no decks on this zone here. That's utility. And that'll be lights and things like that we were just talking about. Second of all, this is a landing platform. So there's nothing there except landing platforms. Okay, now we have sort of an idea of where things should go on here. And I could probably just take this guy and duplicate him and make him go all the way across, and then we don't have to worry about anything else. Wow, accurate right off the bat. That's a first. And this way we've got, you can kind of get an idea, by the way. This is one of the small decks in the Polaris. One of the small landing areas. This isn't one of the large ones that holds the like, for example, the battleships and the dreadnoughts. Those are those larger bays on the bottom. So this is just a docking catwalk or two. Yes, the docking catwalks, actually, that's a good point. We've got to figure out about where a docking catwalk would come down and out for things, because we're going to need a catwalk that's coming out here to the docking doors and stuff like that would be here. I don't know if I necessarily need it for the comic today, but certainly we're going to need it at some point here, because there will be a docking port that comes out to here. So you can get on board. There'll actually be probably a few of them. There should be two of them. Yeah, you're right. There should be another one back here in the after section. So back here in this engineering drive section. The destroyer, these sections here, this center section of the destroyer is multi-purpose. So you can remove those and put different things on there, like missile platforms or fighter bays or things like that. All of those are mission specific. At the moment, this particular destroyer, this mission bay right now is nothing, because I haven't put any decks or any windows or anything like that on it. But and all that is for practicality. That's just changing the texture maps on here. So I can just change the texture maps to whatever I want. So there'll be a different thing. The shape will be the same, but that's all right. We'll get to that point. Okay. So we're looking at about, let's see here. 9, maybe 10 down. I think 10 down is where we want it. Yeah. And it can go up or down just a little bit. So we'll go over here and look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 down. So that's going to be about here on this deck. Let's go ahead and just mark it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we will go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to about here. Uh-oh. What's up?
Excel is here to do the power meter thing.
The power meter thing? Hang on, guys. What power meter thing? So Excel is apparently upgrading the power meter, which is fine. Okay, so this is our crew cargo transfer deck on here. We're just going to put dots to indicate. But since he is messing with the power, I'm going ahead and do that. We've worked really hard on this. It would really, really suck that, if it all of a sudden decided to jump off a cliff. Now. Okay. Nope. I could probably just do that here. Yeah, okay, so that red deck is going to be our transfer deck. We know that that's where. Look at the decks, though. It's like a freaking hotel here. I mean, think about this. Okay. So that's a transfer deck for destroyers specifically. And I would think that we'd have like a lower version that was like down here, right? That'd be, because it would make sense. There'd be smaller ships and things like that. So you'd want a couple of the transfer arms like pulled up against the wall, sitting down lower. They go nowhere. Uh-oh. Hang on, I'll be right back. Sorry about that, guys. It's kind of one of those things. He apparently says the solar panels mess with everything. So there's that. That's all right. But I'm getting my exercise. All right. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's probably 6 decks there. All right. Now let's start doing stuff. I'm going to turn the roundness of the corners set for black on the outside and white on the inside. And I can actually do this. I see we're going to the other direction. There we go. And this will give me a filled circle area. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go over here and we're going to kind of take a look at this. I'm going to get close. I'm going to just put in windows, right? I mean, like, they look cool, and that one looks cool there. And maybe I'll do a door. It's like so. And then do the same thing. I want to make sure my settings are set the same. So we're going to set the window for a 5 as well. Do the same thing here. And then we're just going to hit shift. And that'll give me a portal, right? And this will give me just a number of just the kind of setup here that we want. And I'll kind of do this. We'll delete that. There, now we have a door and a window and another window type. So we can just take this guy now, copy and paste him, deselect, and just move and just do a couple of windows like so. We've got kind of the ability to paste. And do a couple windows up here too. Make them kind of match. All right, we'll go back to this layer. We'll select this portal, copy and paste. And we'll put the portal up here too, like so. And hit paste. All right, and paste. And we got kind of that going on there. All right, I'm going to take you. I'll duplicate this layer real quick. And there. And now we have sort of just windows. They kind of looks like there's, something going on here. I'll actually take this guy and move him over just a little. This is directly under these three. We have sort of a block of windows. We'll go here. I'll grab this door. I'll hit copy and paste. Deselect. We don't really need doors for anything else until we get up onto the other layer above it. But we can then just take him and duplicate that layer. And make another door, sort of like so. Double doors going on there, sort of a thing. All right, and then we've got, and take you and just duplicate that layer too. There. And then we'll call this a unit right here. And what I'll do is then I'll just take you. And this makes it look kind of like it's got purpose and, sort of a design. And observation deck up here. See, that goes past that line. So I'm going to take you and delete you and then move you back to here. I'll take you. Actually, no, I'm just going to do this. Spread them out a little bit more like that. Like so. I'll move you over just a hair. There we go. And then this unit fits. Backish. It's like brackish. Nothing worse than brackish water. Ugh. Smells nasty. Yep, I can do that. We'll get there in a second. Because I got to get down. I've got to flatten this whole thing, but I think you're right. I was thinking that too. It looks kind of cheesy. There we go. Look, these guys are kind of lined up. And if we turn off this grid, you can see it has sort of all of the windows sort of line up, and they make some sense. One thing, though, I do want to do. Actually, we can go on ahead and just squish all these guys together now. Now we can go here and fix this guy. Nope. There. Don't know if I like the door handles. It makes them look kind of cheesy. Okay. It's the new thing is we're going to do these. This up here is observation ports. Right? Sliding doors. They just, or they iris, or they do something. Something. They're magic. They're space doors. There we go. I'm going to turn off the roundness of corner. I'm going to do things like so that there's some sense that there's something else going on these decks. In these open spaces, so that it feels like there's a reasons so that, no, that's too noisy. I really want to avoid drawing a line, but I'm starting to feel like a line is what we're going to have. Right? Because I kind of wanted to avoid that. Maybe I'll just leave it. You know what? Maybe just one. Maybe just this guy. Just enough to show that there's something going on here. Right? I need two. I need another one right up here. There we go. That's it. All right. Now we take this guy and we just duplicate him. Bring him over here. We can actually duplicate them again and put that up here on this floor, because the same thing is happening up here, going out on these landing pads. But what's going to be between these guys is garages. Kind of feeling like this might be too symmetrical. I'll have to see. Right? That's a good idea. There we go. That way they don't all look symmetrical. And then between all these guys, we're going to put in let's go and do another layer. Actually, you know what I should do is just rather than mess with this and trying to get this to line up properly every time. best part about computer. Not you. Computer. Not you. Never mind.
Okay, I've stopped the stream.
Thank you. There we go. Right? And then we can take you and duplicate you, move you over to here. It's the same thing, move you up here. Nope. Here we go. We have little garages now, which is great. And that right? Needy. It's because we all know that. And welcome to the show, Andrew. So I set my Alexa to the C word, as all of us good Trekkies should. And so it's very funny and often comedic as to what happens here. All right. They roll up. These are garages for work bees. So the work bees, I've actually am using the front of a truck front with an engine pack back with two arms that come out forward. That way I don't have to build any new graphics. I don't have to build any new designs and stuff. So Andrew, the reason that I do it though is so that I could say, computer, what's the weather?
In Nevada, it's 7 degrees Celsius with cloudy skies. Today, you can expect overcast weather with a high of 12 degrees and a low of -3 degrees. By the way, Melissa McCarthy can now tell you the weather, jokes, and more for a one-time purchase. To learn more, just ask me to introduce you to Melissa.
Oh well. I have no real interest in that, but okay. But it is still funny. I love doing it. It's a funny thing. All right. So now we've got kind of, these are garages. So I think what I'm going to do is, since it's a garage, we now know where the garage is going to lay out on this. So I'm going to go on ahead and do this, do the roundness of the corners. I'm going to match these garages with a sort of a launch platform coming out the front of this garage and the front of this garage. It'd been nice if I'd been smart enough to see whether they were lined up or not, because they're not. Arg. Okay. And you know what? It'd be better to just move this guy in. Right? That actually does work. Computer, fire photon torpedoes.
Photon torpedoes on. Firing.
It works. Yeah, I could have copied it. I'm gonna go on ahead and do all the internal stuff and then copy that. So do myself a new layer. And this one I'm gonna make a fulfill. I'm gonna do sort of this guy. And then this guy. And then make it look bully tricksy. Right? To the bitter end. We will be Trekkies until the day we die. There we go. And then I'll just do this to indicate. I don't like that. I'll do this to indicate where the landing pad itself should be. And that should be fine. We're going to keep working on that tomorrow. I just got started on fixing the comic pages so that they could be ready, and got caught up in all of the other things going on. No, they don't match. That's nice. They match enough. All right. We'll give it some paneling. It's off and crooked. So there's a secret to Clip Studio. If you hold the shift key down, then it holds it to 45s, which is kind of cool. Which allows me to make these really straight. And give us some paneling in here so that and this is a huge, massive spaceship, so these things should be together in panels. Although, these panels, like the lines between these panels are so large that somebody could like fall into them. Yeah. So, I mean, there is something to be said about these paneling pieces here. Like, don't fall into them. Yeah, now it wants sticky keys turned on. Yep, it's the same as it is with Photoshop, but it's better because I purchased this and it's mine instead of having to pay rent. I'm bitter about Adobe at this moment. I'm just saying, I'm pretty bitter about Adobe. It's all right. You can keep me on task. That's totally fine. I did get to talk to Ron a little bit at Wicked West, and he's familiar with the fact that I'm pushing really hard to try to get my comics ready to go. And he's aware of it and cognizant, and he's not upset or anything like that. He's doing fine with timing. It was sort of a deal that I had made whenever I started working on the books, that they would, I wasn't sure how consistent I would be, and he was okay with that. They will release when they release, and he's okay with that as well. So it's not a big deal. I mean, it doesn't mean I should ignore it. Absolutely. But yeah, it's not as concerning. Yeah, and I own Clip Studio, so this is my copy of Clip Studio Paint, and I'm happy, and it works on here, and it works on my Surface, so I can continue working while at Starbucks, and we're good. I don't need to worry about it. Okay. So now that I've squished everything down, we kind of have a little bit of a interesting problem when we want to use these windows again, which actually isn't that big of a problem. I just can do this. I just copy and paste. I want to now move up the hall, right? Now we've moved to sort of this zone here. This deck is going to be middle deck, and this is going to be our new observation deck with the locking doors to it. So I can just put a ton of these windows on here side by side. With a sections here. This is actually very useful because here's where the docking ring will be in the center section for this, or forward section, and the after section there. So that's not bad. Actually, keeping the larger cruiser on there is useful in this instance. To try to see where we're going to put this. So I'll duplicate you again, put another window in here, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go boom, 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 and then duplicate you. And duplicate you again. This may kind of dictate where those doors are. There we go. See you later, Brent. Oh, you lost power, huh? That sucks. Well, the show's almost over. We've got about 7 minutes left. We're going to kind of try to power through here and kind of get this going one last little bit. And then we'll be going too. But I also kind of like the idea of putting these two little portal guys, like so, on this layer. Copy, and then paste. Up here, by the doors, by the sort of standing guard on either side of the docking door. So that you kind of know that this is where, like these are the little door or little windows that you look out while you're steering the jetway, like they've got kind of the jetways when they're dealing with the jetways of the airplanes. you've got that little guy that's sitting out there with a steering wheel. You know, he's driving the little jetway over and trying to get to dock with the. That's what these guys are doing. These are the docking windows for the jetways. Then we'll deselect. And what we'll do is we'll keep that open all the way. And this will be larger than one deck for each one of these because the machinery is going to need to be down here on this deck and stuff like that. So we're actually going to, as I often do with everything that's of this style, we're going to make the actual piece in here black. And that way there's no if the see you later, Andrew. We will have to have coffee soon. It'll be awesome. We can discuss all kinds of stuff. You'll be at COAF. Woo! I won't. Sorry. But only because I have to be on Synthaholics this weekend, which is a interesting thing. It's a podcast out of New York, out of Buffalo. So I'm not going to be at COAF. I'm going to cry. Hope you have fun at COAF without me. Hey, but you get Alex. That's a plus. So, could be worse. Guess one could argue it could be better too. Okay, Alex joke. Alex joke. Ha 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 ha. Har har har. I think I'm funny. Anyway. So do we call it COAF or do we call it cough? I mean, like, is it like a cough or is it COAF? How do we call it? I mean, all the cons have sort of gotten their name-ish thing. Like, do we call it cough or COAF? Cough, COAF. I don't know. Never really thought of it until now. Now I'm thinking of it. Nope, we don't want one up there. Yeah, normally we would be there. Geek Tank hasn't decided yet as to whether Geek Tank is back in the flow of things. We're going to go to Starfest, but only because it's the last Starfest. And there will never be another one. And since Starfest is like the first con that I ever went to. But yeah. Yeah. That's what I thought too, right? COAF. I feel like I've heard it both ways. And it's one of those listed under I don't know. So all right. In this instance, I do feel like I want a line, and I do feel like the line should be straight. So we're going to I feel like this is definitely a spot where line exists. Right? Because you kind of want to see the docking line. You want to know what area you're docking on. I think it's cute. It looks good. And then I can just go all the way to the edge to right there. And then I'll come back from the edge. There we go. And that looks good. We got a couple of right? Like Starfest, that still hurts. That hurts, man. I don't know. All right. I'm just going to go on ahead and just take this line and move him up here, and I'm going to flip him and do the forest commentary here. Transform, flip horizontal. And then that way, these two doors will be closer to, yes, apply. Will they be closer to the engineering? No. Well, that'll still be, so this puts this line, but that could also go backwards. I mean, it doesn't, but I really want that docking line there. Okay, fine. Then this is what we're going to do. And take this and move him so he's like so. That forward one's probably okay. Like here to the middle of the deck section. Right there would be fine. But this guy's got to move. So what we'll do is we'll flip this. That'll work. And we can turn that off, and take a look. There we go. Yep. Yeah, that's probably true. Well, first we've got to put in the big 44S over here on the deck, on the docking door, on the outside of the docking door to indicate that it is 44 Sierra, which is actually 44 Starboard, but that's neither here nor there. So we've still got some work to do on this, but I'll probably finish it before the end of the day, and then it'll be loaded into the map and should be just fine once we get to that stage. So that should be good. We're at the end of, well, you move this guy to there. There we go. I am actually happy you helped with all of these things for us. Thank you. You've been really good. Good to have around. I'm glad you joined me. I'm glad that Andrew joined me. I'm glad that Brent was here. We even had Donald for a while. We had a lot of people. We had a full house. It was pretty cool. We did not get Brian here. I don't know where Brian went. Had the spot over here. There was no Brian. Oh. He usually joins me about halfway through, but that's okay. But we will get all these things figured out and stuff and everything like that. But I appreciate you all being here today. And I will, yeah, we totally should do lunch. Now that you're way south, though, that's going to be kind of not impossible. I've got a couple of buddies that live down there with you. I could do a tour and visit. So I miss you too. My friend. So I will see you all, though, later. I'll be back tomorrow. Same cat time, same cat channel. Because we always make jokes about George. Wherever George went, I don't know where he went. He's probably causing trouble because he's George, and that's what he does. But until then, as always, keep your eyes on the stars. Goodbye. Computer, good night.